This is Dan Farisi, Group Editor, Commercial and Security with Emerald. So happy to be joined today by executives from the FORTÉ team, Jeff Stoebner, CEO, Roger Patrick, COO, and Craig Gudorf, who is Vice President of Brand Marketing. FORTÉ is a name that certainly has been all over the headlines lately, with AVI Systems having been rebranded. We wanted to speak to the executive team and talk a little bit about how FORTÉ is really being positioned as much more than an AV systems integrator, and how that brand positioning may align with their ability to deliver different kind of solutions their largest customers have been wanting them to assist with. So thank you so much, Jeff, Roger, Craig, for joining me today. Really excited to learn about the FORTÉ vision and what you're going to be doing in our industry.
Well, thank you, Dan. Good to see you, and we appreciate you letting us talk a little bit about where we see the future, at least our place in it. And I'm glad to have Roger and Craig here backing me up.
Glad to be here.
You too.
So let's kind of start with what I said at the outset. You're really kind of positioning FORTÉ, at least from my perspective as a journalist, as something that's a bit more than a traditional AV systems integrator, a bit more of an expansive vision, kind of a bold vision, to be quite honest. Do you want to talk a little bit about the vision that has underpinned this transition?
Yeah, I think we all can speak to it. I'll start and say that we've been working to transform our business for many, many years. And I think you can think of the FORTÉ uh, rollout, the branding rollout is really the name catching up with all the work that we've been doing in the background, probably for about 8 years to position the company uh, with its clients for the next, well, I guess it could be the next 50 years.
Anything that you would add, Roger, Craig?
Yeah, a little bit. I think for years we think we're a little bit different than just a traditional AV integrator. We're global. We have practices. We've been talking about things like human impact and AV that looks like good IT. And I'd say not only the brand, but the positioning statement and the way we're rolling this out to our team is just asking them to, use an evolved language. We bring people, spaces, and technology together to transform the modern workplace.
Yeah, Jeff and Roger covered a lot of it. I'll just add this, which is, in the 7 years I've been here, the company's gone through a pretty remarkable transformation. I mean, we were a regional integrator. Now we have a national footprint. We used to be kind of domestic only, and now we have global deployment. We are a top 1% Microsoft solutions provider. We have robust managed services. I think we have the deepest technical expertise in the industry. And we have logistics capabilities that none of our competitors can match. So you think about all those things together, and I'm like, why do we have AV in our title? Why are we limiting ourselves to something that is a critical part of what we do? But we, as I just mentioned, we do so much more than that. So we needed a name that was more expansive, that was broader, and that had a connotation with things that we wanted to stand for. I think certainly we all know that FORTÉ means when you're really good at something or it relates to your strength. So we're happy to have found a name that we think encapsulates all the different things that we're trying to stand for in the marketplace.
Hey, Dan, I'll just build on that a little bit. Yeah, there's a lot of businesses in our industry that have the name A and V. And having been a part of our business for my whole life, when I thought back about, these names, and this is actually our third name, same company, third name, uh, many of us named our companies AV something because 30 years ago or 40 years ago, you couldn't easily describe to your neighbor or a friend what your business did. So it just made sense to put the industry type or the what the business did into the name. Well, that's no longer true. I mean, audiovisual technology, broadcast technology, all the different collaboration technologies are mainstream. So I don't know that if we reinvented our businesses from scratch, we would pick that same naming convention. So as we reinvent our company every so many years, we really try to think that through that lens.
And that it makes complete sense. And as you say, you've had so much growth and you've widened your aperture so much. You have so many technology specialties and internal capabilities that are differentiating from the market at large that the two simple letters AV are not enough to really show the breadth of capabilities that you have. So Forte, as you say, is something that seems much more fitting for the expansiveness of your offering. Since AV Systems Integrator is a bit constraining relative to what you do, what would you describe Forte as being? Forte is the name, but what is your positioning in the market? If you're not purely an AV Systems Integrator, what are you?
Well, I think uh, the more sophisticated businesses in our industry are trying to use the technology that we're really good at integrating to solve the problems of customers, to solve the problems of teachers, to solve the problems, communication problems that exist in running small organizations and large global organizations. So it's really, changing the mindset from like a product delivery mindset to a solutions
Mhm.
mindset. And that, as we talk to, um, I would say, our most sophisticated customers, rarely are we talking about the technology. The technology is table stakes. We're talking about how to scale. We're talking about speed. We're talking about return on investment, technology life cycles. I mean, that's a different mindset than a lot of us grew up with, honestly.
Mhm. Yeah, I'll expand on that a little bit, Dan. You asked how we're positioning ourselves. Well, we rolled out a positioning statement that's attached to our brand to our sellers at our national sales meeting a few weeks ago. And we want to address two distinct value streams. One is the simple, scalable speed, need consistency of price, need all those things are important on the small, medium, and large conference rooms that are standards. And they may be our customer standards that we certify, our own standards that we keep refreshed. And we wanted to talk about that maybe as the 70 or 80% room type by quantity. And we have a way that we address that through a velocity, which we went all in with last year. And the response has been overwhelming. But the problem we had is we were trying to solve the simple, speedy scale rooms with the smart, complex people, the people that got in the industry to do that and so we're going to embrace both. And by doing that, by bringing in logistics expertise and IT expertise and addressing that model completely differently, we can simultaneously work on the complex, wow, custom spaces, maybe all the spaces that we got into the industry for, and we can scale. We can do both of those for our customer at the same time. So we rolled out those unique value propositions. We asked our sellers to think about us as managing the estate as a global managed services provider, as a Microsoft solutions business. And if you don't pigeonhole yourself into just one unique name like AV or system integrator, it allows you to be seen in a bigger context.
Absolutely. Knowing that Forte works with some of the most impressive, some of the most esteemed, some of the most respected organizations, not just in the US, but across the world, can you give us a sense of some of the challenges they're presenting to you or solutions that they're looking for that align with this broadened capability that Forte represents? Because obviously you're very invested in those outcomes for your clients. So to what extent are their demands or their requests or their soliciting of your help shaping the vision of Forte? And do you want to get into some of the specifics of what you were doing for these A-class organizations you work with every day?
Yeah, I could start. It's really our customers that decide what infrastructure we need to build. Ultimately, we're listening to our customers, and those customers you just described, the larger global brands, especially in the last 4 years, have been asking for a standard technology deployment to be available to their business in, it might be two continents or three continents or four continents. And that's a really different that's a different challenge for our industry to serve. And there are a few businesses like ours that are really investing in that area. And it's a big commitment. It's a really big commitment. So again, that's part of rebranding the company to acknowledge that we have been serving many, many clients in it could be 30 countries or 35 countries or 40 countries. It's just it's a different sort of it's a different company that we run today than we ran in the past.
I think some of the biggest challenges our customers have asked us to go on the journey with are monitoring and managing their estate. So providing real-time visibility, a word they love is transparency, into what's going on with their estate. Not to come to a meeting to find out an update on a project. You should have that live at your fingertips at any moment. You come to the meeting to discuss exceptions and challenges. We all know delivering globally is not easy. We don't pretend to make it easy. We pretend to give real-time visibility, best-in-class tools that have been, developed over 16 years. And the customers are asking us to go on that journey with them. And they also want us to look like a logistics company at times. They want us to deliver it within the IT infrastructure. So we have to do all those things. And sometimes it's about speed and scale, and sometimes it's about complexity and wow. And we need to be able to do both with a consistent team over the top.
Yeah, Jeff and Roger covered most of it. The only thing I'll add here, just for an example, Dan, we do an annual event out at Microsoft's headquarters in Redmond, Washington. It's a summit where we bring 50 of our best customers out there to hear from the very top thought leaders at Microsoft. And the reason they go out there is not because they want to hear the latest in AV technology. What they're focused on is workplace transformation. They're trying to figure out, gosh, it's been a couple of years since the pandemic, but they're still trying to make it worth the commute. Why should employees come in 3, 4 days a week? How do I integrate all the hardware and software with my real estate to make a truly collaborative and productive work environment? So we feel like, with our internal expertise, with our Microsoft capabilities, with our relationships, with our understanding of how AI is evolving in the marketplace, everything which Roger and Jeff talked about, comes together in an event like this, where we really help our customers think differently about what's happening in the marketplace and provide them different insights than they might be able to get anywhere else.
That's the customer and the client piece. I'm also interested in the internal piece because FORTÉ is very much, from my perspective at least, as a follower of your organization over the years, a company that's driven by company culture, that people are really aligned behind a unifying vision. It's not just like the leaders come up with something and then everyone follows suit. It seems like a really collaborative, mutually invested kind of a company culture. What has been the internal feedback to this rebranding? Is everyone kind of aligned behind this vision? Does it resonate with who they are, what they do, what FORTÉ now is?
Oh, I think so. We have a very distinct culture, and our culture is, you know, it was it's been decades in the making, and sometimes I call it the employee ownership culture.
Hmm.
You just can't reproduce it in an organization that hasn't been built like ours has been built, where everybody who's doing the work is a proud equity owner of the business. We don't have outside investors. We don't have just one shareholder. It's literally well over 1,000 shareholders in the business.
Hmm.
That's a culture that you can't just put it up on the wall. It's built from the ground up. Uh, we well, Roger referred to a um, a meeting that we had about a month ago where we rolled out the global brand. That was part of it, and the other part was we made announcements around global expansions. The brand was received very well. There was a lot of enthusiasm when the brand rolled out. Interestingly, we actually got a stronger reaction from our audience with the announcements of going global. I thought perhaps the brand would have had more energy, but boy, the crowd was really excited about pushing outside the U.S. borders.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll expand a little bit. If you just rolled out to 13 or 1,400 employees that would change their name one day to FORTÉ, it'd be received well by others. Others have questions, but it was really the effort we put in over the last year plus, led by Craig's team. And we didn't just one day announce that we're changing the name. We rallied it around elevating how we go to market. And we put a lot of training and the why behind it, not only at the national sales meetings, but in town halls in every region since, and just really, have gone deep. So they are, it has been really well received by customers, by employee owners, and by our partners. I think our partners have surprised me the most with the excitement of how it's more aligned to the modern workplace as well.
Yeah, everything they said is true. This is a more of a tactical piece, but there's a little bit of gratitude that there was brand confusion out there with us and some of our competitors that especially our salespeople ran into all the time. So did we clear that up? I think we did. That was not the primary reason why we did this. It was probably the secondary reason why. But all of a sudden they're like, thank gosh, I don't have to keep explaining over and over again who we are versus somebody else, and does somebody own us? Do we own them? So in the short term, there's just some gratitude that we got that whole thing figured out too.
Makes total sense, and I think Forte is very much starting to be recognized for exactly what you want it to be, this elevated vision of what a firm like yours can be, not merely a technology purveyor, but an outcome guarantor with a lot of mutual investment with the client. So I wish you all the very best. I don't think you're going to need my wishes of best luck, but I give you my best wishes nonetheless, because it's exciting for the industry to go beyond our kind of small aperture vision of what an AV systems integrator can be, and to embrace a much wider vision. Again, that outcome guarantor, that technology provider that's going to be shoulder to shoulder with their client, not just in the US, but globally. It's a vision I'm excited about, and I thank you for taking some time to give me some insights about it.
Thanks a
Our
lot,
pleasure.
Dan.
And
Appreciate
thanks
it.
for your time.
Pleasure to have been joined by Jeff Stoebner, CEO, Roger Patrick, COO, and Craig Gudorf, who is Vice President of Brand Marketing, all of whom are with Forte. My name is Dan Farisi, Group Editor, Commercial and Security with Emerald. Please do keep your eyes on commercialintegrator.com in the days, weeks, and months ahead for more exciting thought leadership content from our industry's leading providers, integrators, and other suppliers, people like Forte. Thank you so much for joining us.